Alrighty, so I'm going to teach you guys how to re-thermal paste your GPU if you're noticing high temps and it's an older card. This one is a GTX 970, so it came out in 2014. I believe the guy said he bought it in 2015, so it's about that time to give it, a little bit more cooling solution, so thermal paste to make it not get overheated very much, because I do see temps all the way up to, I want to say the highest I've seen is 83, which I don't like, so hopefully this will bring it down to like 75. So you can tell if this has ever been done by a GPU by looking at the sticker. If the sticker is still present and there's no hole in it, I just did that because I like to make sure that all these screws can unscrew before I take anything apart. So you just have to just undo all the screws and then just go from there. So I'm going to undo all mine and then show you guys exactly what it looks like. Alright, so for me it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then these ones have little springs on them. Try not to lose any of the parts. They can come off. So I usually just use a magnet, and the magnet holds them. So after they're all done, I can just lift it away, and then we just have one disconnect to do, and then just disconnect that, and then we can start working on that. You don't have to disconnect that, but I strongly suggest to do it. See a little bit of dust right there, so I'm definitely going to clean this thing up. Yeah, the thermal paste is completely all crusty. That's not great for it. Alrighty, so I am able to just flop it over with just the one connector. There's no RGBs or anything on this card. It's pretty basic. So you can see how like crusty and disgusting that looks. That's not great. So we're going to clean that all up, and then we're going to apply a little bit of thermal paste, tiny little bit, right onto here, and try not to let it go anywhere. So you can use paper towel, but you probably should use like a lint-free micro wipe, because paper towels have those little hairs on them. So you just want to make sure not to leave any of those. Maybe shine a flashlight at it. But basically all you're going to do is just wipe it away. It's almost like doing a CPU. A little bit more delicate, I would say. You don't want to push too hard on this thing. This is the cheap part of the GPU, and this is the most expensive part. So try to be very, very careful with this thing. So we can see that this is like Chunk City. See how this paste is like no longer paste, and it's almost like crispy. It's like a silly putty if you left it out in the sun for like a week. So you don't want that. So you want to just make sure to remove all this, and do not, for the love of God, blow on your GPU. Don't do it. I was tempted to, and I almost did it, but don't. Just don't. Alrighty, so after you cleaned up everything, so just make sure that this looks pretty good, make sure most of the crud is picked out. You can use like a blade or something like this and just kind of lift it away, but be careful. It doesn't really matter about what's on the side. It matters how fresh it is between this point of contact and that point of contact. So, get my thermal paste. Ugh, it tastes terrible. And I usually like to just squirt out a little bit, because sometimes if you haven't used this in a bit, it's going to shoot out like crazy, and there'll be a little bit of chunk in there. So just super, super light. I'm using Arctic MX4, which is my favorite stuff. I've been using this stuff for a while now. And I just want a bit. Size of a grain of rice. Don't want to touch any of that green. And then I'll throw it all together and then show you guys what to do. Alrighty, so in hindsight, you do not need to remove those two screws. My other graphics card, it was all one piece, but after looking at this, which I should have done, that black little rad isn't part of the entire heatsink. Anyways, my other computer, it is all one big chunk. So, yeah, don't do that. So lining it up, all you do is just make sure that it's looking like it's going to be pressed. You can see how there's no gap in between, so it's pressing pretty good. Still need to do one. So you just line it up until you see those little circles in there, the silver, and then start screwing them in. Don't do them too tight, just do little by little until you can get all four a little bit in, and then start to push down on it. The springs will make it so it will launch it up towards the cooler, or the cooler towards the GPU chip. Yeah, it's actually not bad. I would highly recommend using a magnetic screwdriver like this. Probably made my job a heck of a lot easier. I'm just gonna hold the GPU so it doesn't spit on me. Nice and tight. And then we're just gonna tuck this cord back into the tray and we're all done. So take a quick little look at it, make sure everything looks like it's all lined up. Nothing's hitting anywhere. So that looks decent. This is not a very heavy GPU at all. So it looks like that's all touching. So that is good. Alright. And that's it. So not very hard. Probably takes about 10-15 minutes tops to do this.